Thanks for staying with us. So Thursdays, we like to discuss family-related issues, and there was a story that caught our attention. And the story that's somewhat familiar because many people in families have just one brother or cousin, auntie that has been through this. So it was a story about a young family. A man found that his son, who he had sent to school to study medicine for about 7 years, never actually went to school. Was sending him money, pocket money, paying his school fees. The boy was collecting the money, squandered it on different things. 7 years after, he found out that he's not a doctor, he didn't graduate. Another person said, oh, he has a family member that actually got a stroke because of this kind of news, where you send your child to university, you pay them every monthly allowance, and you send them school fees just to find out that he got resuscitated after year 1. Now, it's a bit familiar because, as I said, many people have family members who have been through this or have siblings that did this or cousins, and you know the hardship and the pain the family went through when they found out. The conversation today is about parenting. Not even just parenting, taking responsibility, because these are university students, these are adults, these are grown-ups. So we're not talking just to parents, because when they said, your says that when your fish is already dried, you can't really do much. The food is already dried. But we're talking to young adults. We're talking to people in this phase where you don't want to go to school, but your parents are forcing you to. And what's the best approach? Should you just come out and tell your parents, I don't want to do this? Or should you just not hurt them and hope that at some point they'll figure it out and they'll get over it? What's the best approach where you know you're in school and you're not just getting the school thing? That's our conversation. But we'll still talk about parenting, because what do you do not to get to that phase? What do you do to get to that point where you're having to deal with this issue? Those are conversations we'd like to have. You can call us on 081-270-53687, 09139076948. You can also send your tweets to TVC Connect, hashtag your view TVC, so we can read your tweet. So which angle are you interested in? Do parenting, or we want to talk to the young adults who are going through this right now? Let me start with you, Nima.
There's only so much you can say to the young adults in our society where young people are not listened to. So if your parents say go to school, you go to school, whether you're in the mood or not. And if you're not, because of the way our school systems are run here, you can't actually say, I'm not academically inclined, I'm more creative. You can't decide you want to do fine arts. You want to be drawing. You can't just go and buy a canvas and put up in your parlor and be drawing your parents' house. At least
why can't you? That has changed. That has changed. You're talking about your own generation.
That's why the talk will be more on parents.
You're talking your generation. I'm talking about the new. I'm talking
what
about
generation
today.
is that? You think you're going 1800s?
The way she paused, she said, my generation.
I said, which generation? It's the same thing.
It's the same
It's not too far from each other. Yeah. And it happens still. Because even if your parents are indulgent of that difference, the cousins, the aunties will be like, what is happening in this home? When he has to go, he or she has to go to school. We go to school. In my family, I tell you, our family produced the first female professor. So they push you, they keep pushing you. Maybe that's not your calling. But you cannot be telling your parents what your calling is in this, our Nigerian society. It's strange. If it happens in any home, I would find this strange. I've never seen it happen. I will find it strange. So a child must go to school. They might not be saying do doctor, do lawyer anymore, but you will go to school. And there was an incident that happened within my family where one of us said he was being pushed to courtism and just packed his bags and came home. I remember that fight. No, I was the only one saying he's at risk in school because I had experienced a cultist clash in Lasu back in the days. He's at risk. If he cannot be safe there, can we put him in a private university? Can we do this? Can we afford this? Nobody saw an alternative. He wants to jump school. He won't drop out. It was a tough argument. And the guy was saying, they will kill me or they will ask me to kill somebody. They both saw it as a bogus story. So it takes a while for a young person to convince an adult that this is why I need to do something. Nobody thinks you even know what you want in life. So they need to help you decide.
Okay, let me come to you.
That's a valid point. I believe that there are some children that are unable to express their parents because they already know what the answer will be. But for me, this particular story, I just think it's just an irresponsible person. That's it. Because I have been in school with two people. One was supposed to be reading engineering. He had started and he knew that there was no way he was going to continue engineering. He found his way. He changed to economics. And he did very well. So it's not just to say, oh, I don't want to go to school, and so because of that, I'll collect the money for tuition, for rent, for everything, and then squander it and party around and say it's because my parents would not listen to me. For me, you're just irresponsible. If it was you changed your course or you put the money together and you started a business, that will make sense to me. So that, for me, will be a question of, I have my own dreams and my own aspirations. I would not be able to tell my parents about it. We have heard of many musicians today or actors who would say, my parents thought I was studying medicine, but actually doing theater arts, you know. Yes, the parents would be disappointed, but not so disappointed like in this case, where you take the money, you would every year collect money for tuition, you collect money for rent, for every sort of things, for the final, what do you call the dissertations and all for me, that is just an irresponsible child.
But in a country where dropouts get successful, you know, dropouts, you don't have much education, but you come out, you hustle somehow, and you get this money, those kind of things. So parents will say, what is your issue? To me, at the end of the day, this education is towards success. What exactly is your problem?
I don't know about dropouts, just finding it easy. Dropouts that maybe have influential parents, wealthy parents, but dropouts of regular Nigerians, they suffer it hard. And they know. And that's why many Nigerian youngsters, you know, would insist on that education. When you even tell youngsters that, okay, find something else to do, they'll insist on that education because they have been taught that education is your way out of this suffering. So many young people would go there. Hustling is different. You add your hustling to your education and you do it. But for many people that can just drop out and misbehave and still get good jobs and still be are doing very well, it's because probably they have a strong support system behind. And that is also parenting, where are you punishing or are you encouraging an irresponsible child? Because he would never have to face the consequences of his bad actions because he knows his parents will sort him out, sort her out.
Let me come to you, Mojibade. What are your thoughts on this? So do you think, because there are lots of youngsters in this situation right now, because they see a lot of musical artists, actors, who maybe drop out of school, hit a record deal, travel the world, have mansions, have billions in their accounts. They're thinking, what is this stress now? Yes, Nima is right. Nobody's saying lawyer, doctor anymore. No, yes, book na scam. Nobody's saying lawyer, doctor anymore today. But they're saying, listen, must I be on the floor? Education is not the four walls of a university. It's out there, outside the hustle out there. That's the conversation out there. And people are getting successful. Do you think it's such a bad thing at this time to say, this school is not working for me, let me just get out?
You know, I would support what she said. I think he's irresponsible and he's also wicked because it's a private university. So the fees, he must be giving them bills that are over the top. And you're spending and just lavishing the money. How? Why? You know, I've heard of stories where you say, you know what, my parents forced me to study engineering. And you will study it and go and give them, say, Daddy, Mommy, I'm done. Take. And you go and do what you want to do. You now chose a 7-year course, medicine. So let me collect money for 7 years and waste this money. Apparently, from the story here also, his mom was sending provisions, food every month, just from Kaduna, just dispatching to him. Yes, he was just enjoying this and saying, you know what, just keep sending. Maybe he'll say, well, I have an extra year. The 8th year, he will collect extra money. That's wickedness in this time and age. Even if you don't want to do it, have you tried to have a conversation with them to say, you know what, this is not working for me? And even if you want to scam them, which is not right. 7 whole years. Like, how are you sleeping and waking up every day knowing that your father is working so hard to pay a private school? Medicine is not cheap. Private school is not cheap. Even if it was cheap, that's still wickedness and irresponsibility.
So, you see, a lot of parents are faced with these issues today because you are in the phase of getting to secondary school. There's a phase of, okay, now you finish secondary school. Which university, which course? But you're in a world where kids are telling you, Mommy, honestly, I want to sing. I'm an artist. I want to rap. You know, I'm a talent. You know, that's the new word now. I have talent. I have passion. You know, that's the word.
Me.
The 3 years, the passion. You know, Mommy, I want to do university. So you have that, and the parents are thinking, how do I encourage my child to still go to school? How can I tell them that school is not a scam, education is not a scam? You can still follow your passion, but still get educated. Is it something that is realistic at this time? Because many people are still insisting that you don't need it.
Those conversations, okay, do you want to go? Yeah. Okay, so these conversations actually happen, and I think that our counterparts abroad have sort of figured a way out. They have the gap year, where they give a child like a year minimum, you know, Go discover yourself, get a job, travel the world, do whatever. Whatever is inside of you, let it out. And then there are some people that sit with their parents and they come to an agreement. Okay, do this for me. Do the 4-year course, and then I would support you for your dreams or whatever in 2 years. Or go ahead, try and do this. And I've even heard Nigerian artists who have done that say, my parents gave me 2 years, or we have had people who've interviewed, like, give me 2 years, 3 years, and say, okay, if you don't do this within 3 years, then you go back to school. Parents have that. So that conversation, as long as it's open and honest, that makes sense. This particular case we're talking about, that's just an irresponsible person. So I feel that there's also that thing that maybe we have as Nigerians where we want our child to finish on time. Oh, my child is just 13 in university, you know? And so we put that pressure of the child to finish within a certain limit so we can use that child to brag. We need to remember it's about that child's growth, development, and mental health. And it would be nice to work hand in hand with the child to see what's best for them.
So this is what I have to say on this. I agree with you, both of you, but I answered the question of how the typical African home runs, where there's a daddy head of the house, there's a mommy neck of the house, where you have to, mommy, talk to daddy for me. And mommy is like, no, I cannot put mouth. And then there's you, who, if they ever hear you. But there's also the issue of parenting where, just as you said, do for me, or some parents say, no, this is what I want you to do all your life. And when as a child, you don't study your children, know their weaknesses and strengths. Sometimes, when I was growing up, I saw friends who would start something, then leave it. IJMB was raining then. It was called pre-UTME, pre-JAM, or post-JAM. There was a course that they did for those who didn't get admission list.
Remedials?
Remedials. Yes. And some people would just start it. In between, they would just leave. Some people, I did diploma in law for immediately I left secondary school, and a lot of people did not finish. Some people will start, leave. You know, they wanted to be called things. My parents would say to you, when you start something on your path to life, you have to finish it before you decide. So that thing just gives you this resilience to pull through things. I want to believe that if a child was having hardship learning, or he couldn't make JAM, if he didn't have the image to keep, the parents will find out if they were parenting. They would know. But if the parents' own is to shout, 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 and the child gets wicked because of your shout, 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 and they would not talk to you. Because we like as parents to... This setting is a wicked child. But how did they arrive at that point where I really don't care, if like, let them cry, they'll be all right?
But you know, there's a statistic I just read here that says about 40% of, so the overall college enrollment for 18 to 24-year-olds in the U.S. about 40%. So of the students that graduate from secondary school, only about 40% make it to college. So because they have options, you leave secondary school, you make this big celebration, and then you get a job at maybe as a security guard somewhere, and you're fine, you're content because with that you can actually get a house, you can buy a car, you know, you can still have a normal life. So you have options. There are some people that are just not academically inclined. Do we have options for people like that in our society?
But you never know if you never tried. So this case is the case of a child who, I will not write the JAM. I will tell them I wrote it. I will take the money. I bought my own JAM form, the one that I used to.
We've established it that this child was irresponsible. That's one side. But I'm talking about other children in this position. What options do we have for them that don't want to go to school? I don't want to lie to my parents. I want to do 7 years. I don't want to lie, but I don't want to go.
Several options. So I know families where they decide. They say, okay, based on this child, the inclination of this child, this is where he will be. I have a nephew who makes clothes, badass clothes. Sorry.
Really good.
As in, really, really bespoke.
Right.
You know, so he's a he. Within the family, I thought the parents were upside down when they decided he should just pursue what he wanted. But I can only imagine how long it took them to arrive there. Because in that same family, we have an A-list, top of the class, immediate elder brother in the same family. So sometimes these are tough decisions, but you have to follow what will be easy for your child so you don't have a child doing
You're going to say something.
I think we must also come to a place where, one, we must negotiate with these children. And when I say it's not bad parenting when you listen to your kids, to your children, because we shouldn't call them kids. Listen to them. Sometimes they know what you don't know. They know what they desire. So listen to them. Don't force things on them. So if a child says, for example, education is important, we can't even rule that out. But you must know how to negotiate, like what Miriam was saying, that, go to school, then 2 years you do this. It's the approach, I think, is very important, and the negotiation skills that you have and you're able to deploy to help to just get closer to your children. So it's one, you must also have built a very good relationship with them so that they're able to confide in you and able to be vulnerable with you, to say, you know what, I mean, when I said I wanted to be an actress to my mother when I was leaving secondary school, I can still see those eyes. She daggered me. She was like, you must be a joker. So, but I mean, for me, it's always been a passion. I've loved talking forever and ever. So comparing and all the things I do now are things that I've always wanted to do. But my mom said, you have to go to school. But I said, you're going to allow me to do this when I'm done. And we said, okay, yeah, you know what, find a way around it. It was not the easiest conversation, but we had it. We still had it. So negotiation, just parenting from, just following their journey, just also observing them.
Sometimes, Mojibade, these people, young people they have no clue where they're going. A lot of children, a lot of young adults are clueless. They just know that, here's like this school thing, I'm not doing well at school, but they know, because many of us didn't find our purpose before we entered university. True. We found our purpose afterwards. True. So they don't really know. And parents' job is to guide. Yeah. And as you're guiding, even though they feel like this mom says guidance, it's just not. So sometimes you want to guide your child right. But because of their youthful exuberance, they just insist, the education is not my thing. And they insist, but it's because they are young and foolish. That's why they are insisting on this. So how do you guide a child like that?
Interestingly, sorry, I was just talking to my aunt yesterday, and she was telling me about, we're talking about how she made a decision for her child to study in the school her child was going to study in England, right? And we're analyzing different options. So she said this school, they are very academic. And the girl is very sociable. She likes to bake. She likes to, she dances. In front of the mirror, she's always dancing. She's like 11, but she's always dancing, but she's also very smart. So she chose a school that will enable the child academically and also enable the other extracurricular activities. So now she's the only Nigerian in her class in England. They've done a play, but she's also killing her grades. So she's able to balance, because her mom knows who this person is. So also, I think also just studying the child, so you can help to advise, because, I mean, at 11, she can't choose her school. But you can say that, okay, you know what, this would help you do this. So you're able to mix academics alongside other extracurricular activities.
That also reminds me, for my son as well, we had 2 schools that we're looking at, and one of the schools that we're looking at, my son loves football. I mean, he's good with his grades, and as I've said here, he passed all his exams, even got a scholarship, like 2 schools, and then he loves his football. And one of the schools that we're looking at, when we went to the school, they don't have a football pitch. I mean, people will tell you it's a good school, it's a great school and everything. Yes, but it doesn't have a football pitch. And I know that it will not make my son happy. Meanwhile, the second school, the one that we finally went with, once you pass through reception, the first thing you see is the very big football pitch, And he went around, and so I knew that when we were doing like the interviews for schools and they were asking what we wanted, I knew that it was important that whatever he does, his grades plus sports is very important for him. So if you're not part of, your child growing up, and you would not know these things.
Just getting to know that.
Let's go to break. When we come back, we continue our conversation and open our phone lines to hear from you. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. So joining us to add some spice to this conversation is an award-winning Nigerian actor, singer, mother, voiceover artist, TV presenter. He won the African Actor of the Year award for his role in Married but Living Single in 2012 during the African Film Awards. Welcome with us, Joseph Benjamin Isabel. Good to have you. Thank you. Joseph, before you came on, we're talking about this issue because parents are being faced with youngsters who go to university and pretend that they're in school. This particular story, this man was in school for medicine 7 years. The father was paying school fees, mother sending provisions and everything, just to find out that he didn't go to school. And we're bringing this conversation to today because a lot of youngsters are in that space where they don't feel university is for them. They just feel like, oh, I don't want to, because all you guys are artists, the stars, you're making money, you're building houses, and some of you don't have degrees. And they're thinking, must I go to university? The school is scam. And we're looking at it in the 2 ends. Parenting is how do you get your child to the point where they tell you this openly in the beginning and you accept it, and you as an adult, how do you get to the point where you're able to tell your parents with confidence and know that I don't want to do it at school, but these are my plans? How do you articulate it to your parents so where there's a win-win for everybody?
Well, for me, I would say the key thing here is communication. Communication. Because it actually balances the scale. Because if you are able to have a relationship where you can freely talk to your parents, right, then you can be open to them. But the problem we have in situations like this is where you have not created an atmosphere or an environment where your children have access to you beyond the child-father ideology. Do you understand that? Oh, no, I'm your parent, you are my child, this is how it is, I provide for you, you do what I say. But there is something in between there that is called a relationship where they can freely talk to you. Okay? But we don't have that. We, growing up, we never had situations or privileges like that. You do what you're told and go ahead and do it. No questions asked. At all.
But I want to tell you that old-fashioned way, sometimes because has kept some of us things, because you see, even abroad, we see when people say, oh, do your passion, you know, just follow your mind, do your mind. You realize that you follow their mind, thinking, oh, no. So you as an African fighter, I don't want to go through that. I'm going to tell you, you're going to go to school of medicine, and that's it.
That's the thing. The old-fashioned way helped us. It made us stay grounded. But times have changed.
Right. Right.
Rather than you allow them go out there to seek a shoulder or an ear who would listen to them, the wrong people, who would literally change their ideologies, why don't you create an environment where they can freely come and speak to you? Listen to them. Listen, that's the operative word there. Listen to them. Before you then say, okay, look, I have heard you. But why don't you look at it from this point of view? I will not lead you astray.
That's where the negotiation comes in.
It comes in there. And then tell them, okay, so do you know what? Let's meet halfway. What are you passionate about? It's not what I want you to do now.
Let's know.
But let's know, what are you passionate about?
Oh, go, let me calm you down.
No, I want to something.
Okay, well, let me let you go.
So, there's also the issue of bad parenting. Anyway, so you know a trans child, it would have started from maybe 2. They start, they show their independence at 2. They want to wear the colors they like. You know that kind of independence. You know. When they grow into transit, you would know as a parent. So how do you have a child 7 years in school and you didn't find out? You never visited the school.
That's another angle.
Yes. Are you present? There are 2 things here. You also have to be present. It's beyond providing for them and say, okay, look, I'm doing all of that. You understand? There are 2 things. You're either a providing parent or a present parent. And then, to balance the scale, be both a providing parent and a present parent. So that way, you are able to see things from both sides of the divide. Because if you're just a providing parent, you would never have a relationship with your children.
Yeah, let me take this call from Rotimi. Rotimi, are you there? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Good morning to your guests at the studio.
Good morning.
This is an important topic this morning. I have a first-hand experience. Even while I was in law school, I still meet some students in law school who are writing exam right now, and they still have these challenges that my father said I should be a lawyer. That's why I'm here. I think most of the issue is parent hostility to their words. I have my uncle in Lagos, his son was in the University of Lagos. The boy actually intended to study economics or social science subjects. But the dad wanted him to study petroleum engineering. He was in the University of Lagos for 5 years. In short, he was rusticated in his final year in 2017. When he came meeting me in my office at Ijora, he explained what happened. The dad was already reported to me. But what I discovered between him and his dad was that there was no communication. You know, these young adults, when they come out of secondary school, they don't have enough experience to decide on their own. Their dad will go as far as enrolling them for a private GCA class. They will even pay for special centers for them to be able to get the requirement for the course they want them to study in the university. And in that, this boy does not have the skill to negotiate his future with his dad or mom. So he reluctantly accept the and he got admission, he will be in school pretending to fulfill his father's wishes. I know many of this. It just happens. This is the bane of our education, because I will suggest, please, I will suggest that the NUC will introduce something in the university system, whereby the university faculty have a counseling unit to discuss with some of the students.
Thank you, Mr. Rotimi. So, yeah, so that's another layer. But you see, I want to come back. I'll come back to you, Mara, because there is this part of talk to your kids, be good with you, be friends with them, communicate. I get that. But as a parent, sometimes you see your child runs very well, for example, in secondary school. She wins, she gets first place, right? Then she wants to go to university. She's like, I want to run. I just want to run. Your mind, you're like, well, yes, you'll see an Amusan. Say, okay, I want to be like an Amusan. Amusan is great. She's 1 in 1 trillion or 1 in 1,000. There's a possibility that you might not get to Amusan's, you might not get to that point. So I need you to go to school, pick something. And the child's like, no, I just want to run. And they pay your school fees. And all you're doing, you're going to stadium every weekend, going to go and run and practice and train. Yes, you might do well. You might not become an Amusan. You might win some championships here and there. But if you now look back at your life, I wish I had gone to school. So how does a parent help a child? That's whereby he's gung-ho. It is running I want to do. It is singing. It is acting. I know nothing else.
Mariah, there's this part of parenting that I've just come to realize. And that's the part that's going to be very tough for a lot of us. They will get to a point as a parent, you have to just say,
hands off.
I've done my best. I've guided you enough. And this is where you go ahead. And it's going to be hard. There's some children that seem to know exactly what they think they know or should know. You know, they will tell you, even from when they're very young, people would say, oh, this is such a willful child or is a stubborn child. They just insist on making their own mistakes. And whether we like it or not, people would learn only from their mistakes. Every time we try to pad it, we try to cover it, we try to hide it, we just push the inevitable further ahead. So the mistakes that child would have made at 10, if you cover up, he'll make it at 20, he'll make it at 30. So as a parent, yes, these are our children, we birth them, we love them with all of our hearts, but there will come a point you would allow them make some of their mistakes. Some things are also, because we're so controlling, I want you to be done with this by 30. I want you to have this by 35. And so if this person is insisting on running, when will she now settle down to get married? 30 would have passed. All my friends will be doing Ashebi. And when will we, you know, you have to get to that point where you take yourself out and realize this is this child's life. But my own is for many parents of young children, you see those stubborn ones, let them start making their mistakes now. And then let them start understanding that you're also a voice of reason and voice of wisdom. So they now connect it with, okay, you know, the last time I did this, I insisted. When she advised me or when they advised me, I went against it and this is what happened. So the next one, that child is going to do like, and you say this, remember, okay, this is my voice of reason.
Let me quickly add to that based on experience too.
Let me pause you for a second. I have a call. Opayemi is still holding. Good morning, Opayemi. Hello, Opayemi.
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I like the issue you are talking about. Well, I'm one of them, Sha. When I first came to Ilorin, are you hearing me?
It's a bit low. I'd like it a bit louder, but go ahead.
All right. Okay, when I first came to Ilorin, now when I first came to Ilorin, I did not get admission, but what is that? My dad wanted to go to poly. That's all these polytechnic. So what I just did that I enrolled for Kwara State Polytechnic.
Okay.
And after I enrolled, after I did my ND, I moved to University of Ilorin.
Okay.
By the grace of God, I'm now in my final year. When I got home back, I told my dad, Dad, this is what I have done. He was so happy that he was like, I don't go to poly, but you find a way to go to poly. Now, in my family, I'm the only one that have a ND certificate and also very soon I'll have a PhD certificate.
Aww.
So what the guy did is totally wrong. Totally wrong.
Thank you very much. That's what I said earlier. This one was irresponsible. Yes.
So I was saying that, you know, some tough situations when kids are growing up, they have to do some things that, you know, are tough, and we are caring parents will sort of protect them. So the child does not even know how to deal with tough situations. So this is a child who never had to suffer for anything. So even when the parents were going to suffer the consequence of what he was doing, he would not see it. All he knows is soft life. He must enjoy his life. You know, I must just be relaxed and enjoy. Yesterday, I came home and my son was saying to me, Mommy, my bicycle was bad. I took it to, there's a repairer, we'll call him Uncle Solo. I took it to Uncle Solo, I was like, outside the estate.
He took it himself?
He took it himself.
That tiny boy.
So my first, because I'd warned him, he's too young. Outside the estate is a bit dangerous. I take it there usually, and he knows the place. He goes with me in the car sometimes. You went by yourself. I went there, I know the place. You went. That was all I was worried about. I was going to really give him the, I must not say, Mike is watching, you know, but when I got home and I thought about it, he knows Uncle Solo fixes the bicycle all the time. We always take it for him. He took it, he brought it back. Why am I still worried? You know, he fixed his problem. He went on riding his bicycle. I just, well, let me just leave it. You know, sometimes allow these children some toughness.
Right.
Some hardship.
Come to you, Mojibade. What are your thoughts on this issue? Do you think that allowing this toughness would help youngsters?
I think it just all still comes down to parenting, right? So I was just considering now, imagine Faust telling his dad, Faust the bad guy, saying, you know what, I know I want to be, but I don't want to study law. But he still went to school regardless, got a law degree. He's a lawyer. And then that even gives him an exam because we're like, oh, wow, he's a lawyer and he's doing this. So I think we should, but I think it's about the balance. When I attended Covenant University, right, and we used to do this biography series where we learn about people, right, people's journeys. So also show them journeys of people who have your trajectory. They wanted to be this, but they still went to school. Like, so it's just that balance. Balancing that school is important, education is important, but you will still do what you want to do. You want to be a fashion designer, fabulous, you will do it. You want to be a dancer, you will see Kathy, well, she has a degree. You know, just all these things, allow them to I think it's just balancing it.
A guy, these are things guys usually do. I mean, I'm not trying to be sexist here, but these are kind of things boys do that you don't want to go to school. We are too scared to say we don't want to go to school.
The way we were raised.
We were raised. We were just
boys are allowed to school.
But boys just say, I beg, I don't do. How did you stay in school? Were you one of those spoiled kids, or did you just one of those spoiled kids?
No. So this is the thing here. I look at it from this angle as well. We speak about what the children are doing, and of course, as parents, a lot of times we fall into that trap of playing the comparison card. You understand? Like, this is, look at your sibling is this, look at this, that, look at this person's child is this and that. And so that way we unconsciously project a certain kind of ideology into that child's mind and say this is the standard by which you should live. You understand? Not even trying to figure out what that child is about first. Understand your children's temperaments. Understand who they are individually, not collectively. They're all your children, but understand their strengths individually, okay? And also understand that overall, in everything we've said, your children are a clear reflection of who you are.
The hardest to swallow.
They're a clear reflection of who you are. Look at her son now that went to fix his bicycle. If he hadn't seen mommy doing it a couple of times, he would not have had the initiative to go there.
You know what I call her? Miss Fix-It.
There you go. She understands. Her son is a reflection of who she is, the standards she lives by. So these things that we see, they don't just wake up and do these things.
So this man that dropped this 7 years, there's something that you have done as a parent.
He stems from somewhere.
But I don't think it's generic.
No.
Some children are just wayward.
No, they are, but there's always a root cause for everything. Moji, there's always a root cause for everything, every decision we take. Guess what? You as an individual, your body cannot effectively position itself where your mind has not first gone to. The mind does the journey first off.
Right. Absolutely.
Where you are right now is a product of thoughts and decisions that you've already taken.
Let me pause you for a second. Okay. Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue our conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We're still on this matter. We're going to wrap up on this because there's another topic I would like us to touch on before we leave. But I'd like your final words. Let me just come to Mojibade on your final words on this. If this young man was your brother, what would you say to him?
If he was my brother, after giving him 2 hard knocks.
Only two.
I will send him for deliverance.
Yes.
No, but I think that it's just, like we said, just an irresponsible behavior. And again, I was just thinking back whilst we were on the break that you have to be present in you cannot not go to your child's school for 7 years. I mean, that also shows nonchalancy on the parents' part, because 7 years sending money, even if you put my money in the bank, I'm going to check my account. Please open my account. Tell her, let me see what's happening there. Like, you must be involved. So you literally just wasted money for 7 years. So you can't really blame the child, because at some point, if the parent found out, no results, no nothing, you will call me to order and say, okay, where did we go wrong? What's wrong? Why are you not in school? If after 2 years, for example, you found if you were involved. So I think parents need to be more involved, and children need to just be more responsible.
One of my pastors, I think he's probably watching. Pastor, is it no? One of my pastor. One of. Well, no, it was your husband. Okay. Yeah, it was your husband.
Okay.
At his birthday party, his friends were saying that he's always coming to the medical center in Unilag. I mean, people even thought he was a medical student because he was in school, but there's a way you can be in school. I mean, he had a different course.
The reason why he was there is not a...
No, I'm just saying, the reason I'm trying to say is that youngsters have a way of going around this.
Yeah.
I know my pops is coming tomorrow. I'm hanging out with my friends in medical school. We're in class, I'm dealing with you, I'm reading books. You can send it away.
Sometimes throw in surprises. I remember one time I slept in the bathroom when I was in uni, and I just called my mom we didn't even have phones. I called her to tell her that, oh, I fell in the bathroom, but I'm okay. The next day, my mom was in school. She didn't even, no phone to call me. She just showed up. I was having a lecture when she came. She went to my hostel. They announced my name, checked she's in class now. She came to college center to find me. Stay there, waiting for, what class are you? Okay, I'm looking for my daughter. Like, not unannounced. She's involved. Like, so you have to be involved. Like, show up. You don't have to say I'm coming tomorrow. Just random visit. It might not even be to, just because your money, if you're plucking money from a tree, even take some effort to pluck the money from a tree.
Let me take this call, Matthew, and I'll come to you, Mariam. Okay. Matthew, are you there? Good morning, Matthew. Are you there?
Good morning.
You're live.
I just
Go ahead,
want
please.
us to provide solutions rather than all this analysis, which is good anyway.
Okay.
The first point of my first idea is there are 3 people involved in going to school: the parents, the students, and the school. So at secondary school, this also happens. But the way the parents know is because results are sent to the parents. So when you are filling forms for higher institution, you have guardian, you have next of kin, you have parents, you have all sorts of information. Why not the school? They have a duty of care to sending the results at the end of the year to any of those contacts. And that could also help the parents to quickly know after 1 or 2 years. I have a nephew who wasted 3 years and also has added another 2 years. And now 5 years is just wasting away. So that's just mine. The school also have a duty of care to ensure that they send results. Whether you're a mature student or whatever, they should send results to whatever contract that is on the application form for the student.
I get that, Matthew, but sometimes when you're 18, you're an adult, you expect your child to just send you the results. I mean,
yeah, exactly. I have this tweet said, Chigozie Magdam says, one of our major problems in this present era is due to fear. Parents tend to live the life of their children for them. When it becomes extreme, these kids find it hard to think and solve issues when they grow. So we know this raging phenomenon right now where the parents would pay for special centers, the child does not pass the exams, but find somebody that they know in the school that they can pay off. He's in the university now, his grades are not doing well, but he finds somebody to pay so that he looks like he has better grades. He goes for job interviews, he does not make it, but you have someone you can pay, some influence you can pull, and then your child is there. What do you expect? When that child finally gets to where you expect, what do you expect? He would just make all the mistakes and just call you to come and clear the mistakes. So when you think that you're being smart now, that you're circumventing the law and you're getting away with it, it will bite you somehow. So be careful.
Let me take this call from Hassan. Good morning, Hassan.
Good morning, Murayo, and good morning to your new guests and members of the IQ. This is a highly emotional topic, very, very highly emotional, because my sympathy goes to the parents, more especially mothers. Mothers are going through a lot. And one thing is very clear here. we are all discussing this issue. We leave God outside of it. There's a need for parents to pray seriously for their children. It's not about having money to play around with, sending your children to school. You can force a horse to the river. You cannot force it to drink water. You see, this issue of education you are seeing, education is the best option. We don't have any option. It's like people telling you that examination is not a true test of knowledge. Those people saying that should give us another solution.
Oh, we lost that call. So we need to wrap up on this, yes, Nima?
So I think the reaction of the dad sending him out is still personalizing the issue. Because this is a child, obviously, you feel that parenting. So if you want to punish him, but don't send him out. I had an experience like that, stories I heard from my mother's family, where one of her cousins did the same thing in school. I think he dropped out of school after 4 years. The father found out, was in a school up north. And then he came to Lagos doing, smoking and all of that. The father just called the NDLEA, picked him up. He faced the term. And when he came back, he knew the value of education. Every kobo spent, he valued it. He's better off. He's a lawyer now. So sometimes you need to, if you need to punish a child, or you reprimand a child, do the needful.
Right.
Be a tough parent if you need to.
Let me come to Joseph, because I'd like you to wrap up with us on this issue. And I want you to talk to the parents right now. Not talk to them as pre. Talk to them as post. It's a post conversation. So they have an adult who just left 7 years, everything down the drain. As Nima said, this person's reaction was send you out. What would your reaction? What would you advise should be your reaction in that situation? Your child just dropped out. 7 years you wasted in university. What would you advise a parent to do?
The first thing I would do is have a conversation with that child. That is what I would do. I would implement that. Have a conversation, because that is a human being, not an animal. So there definitely is a way to get across to this child and say, okay, this has happened. I am upset. I am livid. This is hard-earned money wasted. What was going on in your mind? What was going on through your head? Let me understand, first of all. So after having that conversation, a civil conversation, and I see that it's not making headway, then I would resort to, okay, let me become hard. Now let me start implementing certain things that will make this child know that, look, you have crossed the line.
Or just hands off.
Hands off, yes. Sometimes you do. So let them learn, because like it's known, an eagle at some point would take its little one out of the nest and allow them fly. You have to learn how to fly, because if you don't try to fly, you will fall and die.
I think we can wrap up with that. Thank you so much.
We can wrap up. Sorry, just before you wrap up, I think, again, we should also, we're not speaking about the mental, that's a different topic.
That's what I wanted
the mental state of the father. Sending him out, yes, it's not the solution. However, the immediate reaction is 7. Do you know how we got the money? Like, he must have worked tirelessly to say, private school, I will give you the best, and then you do that to your father. Conversation will come later, but we can go on and on and on. It's just a long conversation. But again, children be responsible, parents be involved.
I'd like to wrap up with what Mariam said. At some point, you have to face the reality. Listen, these are adults. Now, in secondary school, you can ask the parents, you can ask the teachers, send me the results directly, those things. But when a child is 18, 19, you trust that I have already raised you. If you chose that this 7 years, I'm angry, I'm upset, but this is your choice, know that I am not here as your backbone. You can't come to me. I'm retired now. The money I earn is for me and my wife to just live a normal life. So you choose your life. And you can say hello to me once in a while. It's okay. But I have done my best for you. And it's a hard decision, but something you have to just...
Mariah, before you just wrap up, still note 2 things. Based on research, it's been shown that a child's brain doesn't develop until they get to about 28. So that child, 18, 19, that you say, look, you're an adult, nothing, they are still under you, regardless. And if you then chase that child out of the house, guess what? That child is running with your name. Even though they're not in the house, they're still your responsibility. Okay? It's still a thorn in your flesh. So you have to bring them back in.
Maybe like braided legs,
I like that.
Just fall into a trance.